Hi everyone, welcome back. It is the first week of May, which means it is time for April favorites. So let's jump right into it with my favorite thrifted items for the month of April. And I couldn't narrow it down to just one or two, so I have three thrifted items to show you. The first one is this case for the iPhone 3GS. It's by OtterBox. And the 3GS was my very first iPhone. It was my very first smartphone. And I didn't upgrade it until the iPhone 5. So now that this no longer has phone service, this became my iPod Touch. And honestly, when I'm around the house, I carry this around with me more than I do the phone. And this is with me, next to me, somewhere around me at all times. And I use it to listen to music. I use it to watch YouTube videos. It's my alarm clock. So I was always afraid that I would drop this, knock it over or something, and that it would break or the screen would crack or something. So I'm very glad that I found this really nice case for it for $2 at the thrift store. So you're really glad to have that. My next thrifted item is the purse that I am currently using, and it is a Vera Bradley purse. And I'm not a big fan of Vera Bradley, mostly because I find her patterns to be a little too much, maybe a little too hippy trippy dippy, maybe. But I really like the color scheme of this one. I picked this up last fall, and I found two Vera Bradley purses at that time. I sold one of them, and I kept this one because I like the color scheme. I like the pink and the yellow with orange and a little bit of coral here and there and a little bit of purple. So I thought that it would be really cute for spring, and I like the size of it. I like that it has these two pockets in the front. Inside it doesn't have compartments, but it has a lot of pockets around the walls so that you can stuff all kinds of things like cell phone, glasses, whatever. And I do like the quilting pattern of them, this quilting that she does, because I have seen Vera Bradley purses that are solid. There are one solid color, they're either black or brown, and those with the quilting, they look really nice. So, but my favorite thing about this bag is because it is cotton, because of the material, you can just throw it in the washing machine, and it comes out looking all nice and clean and pretty and new again. So yeah, I have some new love for Vera Bradley. Still not quite sure about the patterns, but I really do like the bag. And my next item is this series of Nora Roberts books. It's the Bride Quartet series. I have not read these yet. The reason they're in my favorites video is for a purely decorative reason, and it's because this is the first series I have where all the covers have continuity. They're all cohesive, meaning that they match. Because I have some, series that I have picked up throughout the years. One book is hardcover, and the other one is the paperback edition, and then maybe I found another one and it's the movie tie-in version or whatever, and they just don't match. They don't look even on the bookshelf. But these do, because it's the same edition, and it's of the series, and it looks really nice and pretty, and it looks pretty on the bookshelf. And I will eventually get to read these. I have read Nora Roberts before, and I do like what I've read of hers so far. And these are just nice, light little reads. But that brings me to my favorite reads of April. And one of them is Time and Again by Jack Finney. And if you like science fiction and travel and time travel, you probably already know about this book because it's considered a classic in the time travel and science fiction genres. But if you like historical fiction, even if you don't like sci-fi, I really recommend that you read this because it is a really nice story. It is very interesting. It's the story of Cy Morley, who is a graphic designer for an ad agency, and he gets recruited by the government to go on a secret mission experiment type thing, and it turns out to be a time travel experiment, and he goes back to the New York of 1882. So, and the book is full of pictures of New York at that time and illustrations, and it just shows you the old buildings, which is a really neat juxtaposition of the old buildings that still stand, that stood there in the 1800s, and now in Morley's time, this building would be surrounded by skyscrapers. So it's a really nice story, and I highly recommend that you read it. Just if you like historical fiction, even if you don't like sci-fi, it's a really good read. And the next book that I read is Looking for Alaska by John Green, but I don't have the book to show you because it was a library book, so I had to return it. But I will insert a picture right here. And Looking for Alaska is YA, which is young adult, and this is more realistic fiction. Typically the YA books that I read are more like dystopian, like The Hunger Games and Divergent and all of that. But I really enjoyed this one very much, and I will definitely be reading more of John Green's books. And Looking for Alaska is the story of a boy that has a very boring and dull life back at home, so he thinks that maybe by going to the same boarding school that his father went to, that he might find something more interesting and exciting, and he calls it the Great Perhaps, and he's looking for the Great Perhaps. So he goes off to this boarding school for his junior and senior years in high school, and looking for his Great Perhaps, and he does make some great friends, and a lot of things do happen to him in this boarding school, and it's just a really interesting, really great read, and I recommend that you pick it up if you haven't read it. Favorite TV show? I'm still really enjoying Bates Motel, and I'm also really liking The Voice this season. I like Shakira as a judge, and Usher is kind of growing on me a little bit. At first I wasn't too sure, but now I kind of like him a little bit more. And so, yeah, I'm really enjoying that show. Do you guys watch The Voice? Are you rooting for anybody yet, or are you waiting for them to finish off the elimination rounds and just get to the live shows? Which is the best part for me of The Voice, is always the live shows. But they always eliminate the person that I like. So, like, if I say I like somebody, you can pretty much bet that they're the one that is going to go that week. So, well, what shows are you guys watching? Do you guys like The Voice? And let me know who your favorite coach is. So now I'm going to show you an app that I have found that I think is very useful, and it has to do with cooking, but it's not a cookbook. Let me take the camera down. And it's called Cooking or Cooking Knowledge, and basically the app gives you information like on terms and substitutions. If you live in a high altitude, it tells you how to adjust your oven or your cooking times depending on what you're doing. It's got terms, which is like a little dictionary if you don't know if you're trying to follow a recipe and you don't know what a term means, you can just look it up here. It also gives you substitutions if you don't know how much to substitute one item for the other. You can check it out there. The yields is neat. For example, this one for apples, it tells you that a cup of sliced or chopped apples is 1 medium apple, and 3 medium apples equals 1 pound. So if you need to know how much something is the equivalent of something, then this is a really neat app to have. And there are no recipes in there, it's just information things that you can look up. It's available for Android and iOS devices, and it's called Cooking or Cooking Knowledge. And so, yeah, I think that one's really useful. And finally, we're gonna get into the really girly part of this video, which is the beauty products. I'm gonna start off with the nail polish. These are the two polishes that I used a lot throughout the month of April, and this one is China Glaze Something Sweet, which is a really pretty pastel pink, and this one is called Elaida's Air. And these are from an older collection, but they're really nice of pastel colors, and I rotated these throughout the whole month of April, and they were both on manicure and pedicure. These two mascaras, this one is an all-time favorite, and this one I always repurchase. It's the Rimmel Sexy Curves. It has that wonky little looking brush, but I really like it. It gives you a lot of volume. It doesn't give you a lot of length, but it gives you a lot of volume, and it's really nice. I always repurchase this, especially when CVS has that really good clearance sale that they have twice a year, where they mark stuff 75% off. This one always goes on that sale, and I always restock then. And then this one is the Maybelline Lash Discovery, and as you can see, this brush is teeny tiny, and this one is great for your bottom lashes, but it also works great for your top lashes. And obviously these two are gonna get tossed because, as you can see, they're all cruddy, and I've used these for a long time, so it's time to toss these and use I always have two mascaras going at one time. So I'm gonna try two new ones this month, and we'll see if they make it into my favorites video or not, or may. And then finally, now everybody and their dog knows about this palette. It's the Urban Decay Naked palette, and it's great, and it's got all those pretty colors, and it's the best neutral palette ever. Everybody has seen this one, but if you don't have access to this palette where you live, or you don't want to pay the price for this palette, then you might want to be on the lookout for these two palettes by Profusion. This one is called Midnight Fever, and this one is called Sultry Neutrals. And basically, if you can get these two palettes, you pretty much have any of the naked palettes that Urban Decay has put out. See? So I found these at Big Lots, and I think they were like around $5 a piece. These are I've also seen these at Ross. Profusion pops up around at Ross a lot. I've seen them at CVS, I think sometimes has them, but basically these are really nice. The colors are pretty pigmented. The colors that you want to be pigmented are really pigmented. There are some that are not as pigmented, but they're certainly very buildable. And the quality is pretty good. There is some fallout with these, but overall it's not that bad. And obviously they're not as silky as the Urban Decay ones, but these are really nice. Really nice colors that you can build up. Then you can create a lot of looks with them. So I recommend, if you don't want to spend the money on the Urban Decay Naked palette, then be on the lookout for these two, because these are really nice substitutions, much more affordable. And so that's it for my April favorites, and I'll see you guys real soon, and have fun the rest of the month. Bye bye.